Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. So first of all, thank you so much for everyone that's interacted with the channel this week, anybody that's watched a video or subscribed. I really appreciate it. Also, as a side note, thank you to everybody for the kind words and the kind comments about the Infinity deck. It's the first project myself and Lloyd Barnes have brought out, and I am so happy that it's finally in the hands of the Magic community. Now, having said all that, it's time for the Q&A. Two things that you need to know about the Q&A if you're a first-time listener. First of all, I do not plan this at all. It is not planned. It is not organized. I'm literally sitting down, reading the questions and giving you my answers based on reading them there and then. If I think that a question is kind of too much of a meaty topic for the Q&A, I will use it as the basis of a future video, which I do quite a lot. Now, the other thing is you want to get your questions in as soon as possible, because normally I answer the questions for these Q&As on a Tuesday, very occasionally a Wednesday, sometimes a Monday. Now, this is a one-off. I have had so many gigs this week and so much stuff going on. I'm actually filming this on Friday afternoon, which is about the latest as you can get because Michael needs to edit it before he leaves at 5 o'clock today. But that doesn't normally happen. If you want to get your question answered, make sure that you do it before like Wednesday morning, ideally, Tuesday at the latest. With that all being said, thank you once again for supporting the channel. And without further ado, we're going to get into a bunch of questions. Let's do this. Okay, so the first question is from Dylan Williams Magic, who says, "Hi Craig, what's the best or what is your favourite multiplying bottle set to use and where can you find them?" Tora make a really good set. Ryland actually uses the multiplying bottles in his act, and he uses the milk bottles. So obviously the fact that fits in with him being a kid. The milk bottle thing works really well for that. But yeah, me personally, I use a set that I picked up years ago, and each one of them is a different bottle. There's like a, you know, like there's gin bottles and wine bottles and rum bottles, and I think there's ketchup and stuff in there as well. It was the one that I was actually recommended by Paul Rohamani when I first learned his version of the multiplying bottles, which is a little bit like, it's great by the way if you haven't seen it, it's a little bit like the Vanishing Bandana, but with multiplying bottles. So it's a track and you're listening to what it tells you to do and you're doing it, and it works really, really well. I've never seen anyone else do that. It's a great version of the multiplying bottles, well worth checking out. I can't tell you, I mean, I bought my multiplying bottle set about 10 years ago, and it's just as good now as it was back then. I'm just gonna see if I can see it, but I don't think I'll be able to. No. Oh, hang on. No, I don't think they sell mine anymore. I'm looking through all the different multiplying bottle sets. I don't think they sell mine anymore. But I can recommend Tora's. You know, Ryland uses the Tora milk bottles. They've got a lot of different versions of the multiplying bottle. So I'd maybe recommend looking at Tora first of all and having a look at their website. You got another question as well. What's your favorite trick to... Okay, so that's multiplying bottles, right. Okay, I'm going to leave that one there, and we'll make this the next question. Okay, so like I said, Dylan Williams Magic has got another question. What's your favourite trick to perform as a closer for a kid show? I know a lot of people produce a rabbit or levitate a kid for their last trick, but sometimes those tricks can be a hassle to carry around. So what's another good option? Lastly, thanks for all the magic advice. You really helped my magic career and it's greatly appreciated. No problem at all, buddy. Really, really appreciate that. So, okay, so what is my favorite closer? I don't use rabbit productions. They're too much hassle for me, to be perfectly honest. So I've never used a rabbit production. Levitating a kid, again, unless I'm doing like an illusion show type thing for kids. Within my company, we offer a deluxe show, which is like a mini illusion show for kids. But outside of that, I'm going to keep it kind of simple. And it's also going to be age dependent. I think that's the important thing as well. It's going to be age dependent. So it's going to depend on the age of the kids. I don't really have just one closer. I'll tell you some of the ones that I do that I really enjoy doing. So one is My version of the linking rings, which you can learn from the Netrix, which is very heavily based on Pop Hayden's linking ring routine, but there's slightly less moves. There's a couple of less phases. There's an extra phase added in. If you don't know Pop Hayden's linking ring routine, it really is the best linking ring routine in the world. There's nothing better, in my opinion. And yeah, Pop Hayden's great. I love Pop Hayden. And my linking ring routine, you can learn it on the Netrix, or you can learn Pops as a download available from Penguin Magic and other places. That is a great closer because it's a fantastic routine to bring the birthday kid up on stage. They are made to feel the star of the show because they're the ones that are linking the rings together. There's a lot of comedy built into it. It's very funny, a lot of audience participation. So I'd recommend the linking rings is a great... it's a great effect. It's a wonderful effect. And it's a great finale. It kind of plays really big as well. And the way that I do it in my routine, I finish off with the kid unlinking the last two rings themselves. And they're there with their arms out with one ring in each hand. And everyone's giving them a big round of applause. Fantastic way to end the kids show. I know a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't end the show with somebody on stage with you. But I think when you're doing a kids show, it should all be about the birthday child. So that's a great one to finish with. I've got this routine that I marketed through Albion Magic years ago called Rainbow Closer. And it's a great routine. I called it Rainbow Closer because it is a wonderful finale piece. And it basically involves two kids on stage. And it's this whole idea of these two handkerchiefs are going to... change color, which sounds really kind of very kind of so what, but the way that the routine structured, it really does build up to a great finale. And it uses as the prop the Henry Evans fusion bag, which if you haven't seen is one of the best props for kids entertainers that you can buy. So there's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I kind of do on a regular basis. Ryland typically does the cube wall. So Ryland does the cube wall as a finale to his kid show. He'll do some cube manipulation, and then he'll finish off by actually doing the cube wall in front of the kids and making, but he doesn't do it with the heart like he did on BGT because he's doing it for kids. He typically does it and makes Mario appear. Which is a really fun bit to do. So that kind of plays big at the end. That's a great way to end big. Yeah, those are kind of the ways that I normally end it, at least in a normal kids show. So any of those will work really well. But maybe I'll do a video on the best closers for kids entertainers. If you want to see that video, let me know down below. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Pert, who says, hey Craig, first of all, regarding the last Q&A, if you ask yourself if you have a place in the Magic community, think about this. 2 years in a row, people have voted you Creator of the Year. And if the best Creator of the Year, 2023 and 2023, don't matter to the community, then which creator matters? If people thought you or your expertise was crap, then why do people ask so many questions every week and listen to what you have to say? Thank you, Andy. That really means a lot. You belong here, and a lot of us have become way better magicians with your advice. If there's ever something that makes you feel this way again, you can video call me. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. It's people like you that give me faith in this community. Thank you. Anyway, enough about that. Now on with the questions. Okay. I'm going to check my Facebook Messenger as soon as I get out of this Q&A. If by the time you're reading this, you haven't had a reply, message me again. I'm terrible with messages, but please don't give up. Please hassle me. Anyway, question number 1. With Euro 2024 and Paris 2024 around the corner, do you know any tricks or routines with countries as the object? I don't know things like the Passport Project by... I know things like the Passport Project by Magic Dream and something I made, but I hope you can give me more inspiration. So, tricks or routines with countries as the object. Off the top of my head, and I should do a video on this, but off the top of my head, Lord Harry Harrington, through his company Pocketful of Miracles, has brought out a routine based on... that app that pinpoints you exactly, and I've just started looking at that, and there's a reveal to do with countries in there, which is quite nice. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but if you look at Lord Harry Harrington's production company, I think it's Pocketful of Miracles, you'll see it on there. Three little words, is it, or something? Three, the 3 words thing. It's very good, actually. It's quite good. As well as that, the original bit book by Alakazam Magic had a force of a country that's really clever, and had a psych force in there as well, which will ultimately end up forcing a landmark in that country. So that's quite good. In the Black Mirror project, you've got the shortcut that David Jonathan did, where somebody thinks of a country or thinks of a city in any country, and you've actually pinned on the map where you think they're thinking of. That's quite a smart idea as well. I did quite like that very much. If you've seen my Mirage deck project and you saw the routine movie, that trick would be absolutely perfect for the countries. All you'd have to do is find a list online, like most popular countries. I bet there's something like most popular holiday destinations. There you go. I bet you if you Google most holiday popular destinations, the first one is a list of the 20, and then there's 30. There you go. Which one would we go for? I think this one here, CN Traveler. 27 best holiday destinations, maybe. Oh, this one here, roughguides.com. 30 best holiday destinations could work. But find yourself something that's to do with countries. You know, make a list. And then if you've got the Mirage project, you can do exactly what I did with movies, but you can do it with countries. So you can literally tell people that you've made a prediction, and you can have them look on their phone, look up a list, a genuine list, have them think of a country, don't say anything, and you show them your prediction, and your prediction matches perfectly. That would be a really great way to do that. That would work really well. And also, with regards to that, think about all of the different ways that you could actually you could take existing tricks. So, for example, you could make a list of your own countries and use a number 9 force. You could write 5 countries down on 5 different business cards and use a quinta force, or use a patio force, or use the equivoke or something like that. Or you could even make a little confabulation out of it. So you could have a couple of different forcing methods, and you could force a country, you could force, you know, like a meal that you had in that country, the amount of money that you were going to spend when you got there. You know, you could use 2 or 3 different forcing methods. If you're familiar with my Penguin Live or my Project Visible, I put a routine on there that used a celebrity prestige book to force Tom Cruise and combine that with Invisible Deck. You could do that with the force of a country. So if you can think of a way to force a country, it could be digital force bag or anything. You could tell a little story about how you've made a prediction before you actually came here. You made a prediction. You wrote it on a card, and you turn that card over in the deck. You give that to somebody, and you say, hey, we're going to use your imagination here. I want you to imagine you're going on holiday. You could go anywhere, but we're going to randomize it. I've got a list of 100 different holiday destinations on my phone, 100 different countries. Give me a number from 1 to 100. 27, right? You look up what 27 is, and you look up that country. If you got it, brilliant. Now, when you get there, I want you to imagine that on the plane on the way over to that country, you're shuffling a pack of cards. And as you leave the plane, you realize that you've dropped 1 card on your seat, and you leave it there, and you haven't got time to go back and get it. So you leave 1 card on the plane. What is the card that you leave on the plane? Okay, the 7 of diamonds, great. And then you take the deck back for them, you spread it out, you show there's 1 card face down, and the 1 card that's face down has that country on it. And then when you turn it around, it's actually the 7 of diamonds. So stuff like that, you know, take existing methods, come up with a creative way to actually develop this type of thing yourself, if that kind of makes sense. But there's a ton of stuff. I remember Vern reviewing something with Ryland a couple of years ago to do with countries and flags, and I can't remember. Go back in the Craig and Ryland review shows. That was quite good, I seem to remember at the time. On the 13 Steps to Mentalism, Richard Osland has a really great way to force a location on a map for a parlor type performance. That's really good. Paul Gordon has a deck of cards that he developed with different countries on it. And in fact, Alec Azam put out recently a Paul Gordon, Alec Azam. I'm sure that he had an Alakazam trick. that came out fairly recently. Let's have a look here. Look on Alakazam, Paul Gordon. There we go. God, there's so many tricks. There you go. That's it. Flash Prediction. We gave this a really good review. Flash Prediction by Paul Gordon. Self-working mentalism effect with a multi-layered reveal. Prediction placed off to one side. 9 countries are introduced. 9 different cards with countries on them. They fold them up like a map in a really, really fair way. And the predictions correctly noted. It's really good, and it's all to do with countries. So that might be one you want to go for. That's called Flash Prediction by Paul Gordon. That's an Alakazam trick, and we reviewed that on the Craig and Riley review show. So that should give you a few ideas. There's probably a bunch more, but maybe I'll do a video on it in the future. Okay, so the next question again is from Andy Putt, who says, do you have a good way to add or remove cards from the deck in between tricks while you're performing? What I mean by that is, what if I want to do 3 tricks in a row? Magic Button, Sandwich Routine, and McDonald's Aces. With the main routine of the Magic Button, you don't end up with a clean deck. I hope I don't expose too much. No, you're not exposing too much. You're going to go from this trick to the second, but you need to remove 2 cards. After the second trick, you need to add 3 cards for the McDonald's Aces, but people are watching you because you're in the middle of a performance. Do you have any way of achieving that? Okay, so you're specifically looking at Magic Button, Sandwich Routine, McDonald's Aces. Okay, I don't have a deck of cards on me, but I do have an Infinity deck available from all good Magic dealers. Myself and Lloyd Barnes, our first product together, that's the Infinity deck, available from all good Magic dealers, with guest David Jonathan and created by Phil Smith. Anyway, today's video was sponsored by the Infinity deck. So, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Right, okay, so there's a couple of different ways of going with that. So, first of all, what I would do is I would have... So, you've got Magic Button, you need to get rid of the 2 cards there. And then you've got... you've got a Sandwich Routine, which I guess is normal. And then you've got McDonald's Aces. Right, a few different ways of approaching this. The simplest way is to have the cards that you need for McDonald's Aces at the bottom of the deck, right? And then there's an old thing, which I'm sure you're aware of. I'm sorry if I'm teaching you how to suck eggs. But you put the deck inside the box, right? And you put the flap in there. And then you put the 3 cards that are the McDonald's Aces cards there. Now, what that means that you can do is you can put your finger onto those 3 cards. Because the half moon cutout, it's easy to do. Just turn the deck slightly towards yourself. And you can take out the cards and you can just leave the 3 cards that you need for McDonald's Aces inside the deck. So you can then do Magic Button. You can then do the second routine and the Sandwich Routine. At the end of the Sandwich Routine, you just say, you just put the cards back. And all you're going to do is you're just going to put the cards back in the case. So this is the bottom card. The cards get put back in the case. Now you've got a couple of options. You can either, one, just talk for a minute and say, oh, by the way, there's one other thing. Can I show you one more thing? And when you take the cards out, you've added those 3 cards onto the bottom of that card there. Or you can do a quick routine with something else. So you can say, hey, I'm going to show you a coin trick. Watch. Boom, it's gone. Amazing. Let's do one less card trick to finish off. So that's the way that I would add those 3 cards at the bottom, right? The other way to add the 3 cards to the bottom is if you have cellophane, and I haven't got cellophane on my creativities. I've been using this so long, I really need to open up a new one. You can have these underneath the cellophane, right? And with a bicycle deck, they'll just sit on top of the side of the deck that looks like a bicycle deck, the one with the half moon here. So this is under the cellophane, and people won't see it. So that's just been, the cards are just being held out there. Actually, because they're McDonald's Aces, there's no back, so it makes no difference. But if you have them here, they're not going to be able to see them because you just keep that side of the deck towards yourself. When you finish the second routine, just put these on top of the deck, on top of the box, right? So you just put these on top of the box. Then you lift up the box and the cards, reach under the half moon cutout, and as you take the deck away, you're also taking those 3 cards with you at the bottom of the deck. So either of those you can use to add on the 3 cards at the end. In terms of getting rid of the Magic Button cards, now, this is not in stacks, this is not a problem. So when you do Magic Button, there's 2 cards that are gaffed that are kind of there, right? You've got one in the middle of the deck, You've got a magic button card in the middle of the deck, and there's one on top. There's a double backer on top, right? So the first thing that you could do is at the end of magic button, you say, let me show you something else, but I don't want the jokers for this. And you reach in and you say, look, I'm going to take out the 2 jokers. And you just take out the magic button card and you take out the joker, right? And you put those away. You say, let's get rid of the jokers. You've now removed those 2 magic button cards because the backs of them are both normal. So it just looks like you're taking out 2 jokers. Not a problem. Now, if you don't want to spread through the deck and do that, do you know at the final phase of the magic button thing, rather than putting the card into the middle, put it on top of the deck and just give the deck a false cut. Because that is going to leave both gaffed cards on top of the deck. Now, with both gaffed cards on top of the deck, you could hand the cards out to be shuffled after the first routine, after the magic button, and say, look, shuffle the cards, then do me a favor, take out the 2 kings. Let's say using the 2 kings for your sandwich routine. So you say, shuffle the cards, take out the 2 kings, and you just take a step back and put your hands down by your sides, and you just dump these into your back pocket. That's the first way of doing it. The second way of doing it is to have those 2 cards on top of it. Well, that's the third way, because the first way is to take out the jokers. The second way is to palm the cards off by having those 2 cards on top. The third way is to keep those 2 cards on top. Now, this will affect how you're doing the final thing. But if you want to get rid of these 2, you could just say, well, let's see if we can go one step further. Can you shuffle these for me? That would be fantastic. Can you shuffle these for me? And all you're going to do is steal the top 2 cards underneath the box. And then you're just going to put the box away. Now, the problem with putting the box away is if you're using the box to add the cards on for the final phase, then that's a small problem, right? That's a bit of an issue. But the way around that is to not use the box. So how would you do that? Well, if you know you're going to use McDonald's Aces as the finale, you can set that up at the beginning of the first phase. So let's say you're using the 3 double-faced cards, right? You could have the 3 regular cards. So let's say that the cards you're using for McDonald's Aces are a double-faced Ace of Hearts, Diamonds and Spades. A double-faced Hearts, Diamonds and Clubs, and a regular Ace of Spades. You can have the 3 regular aces on top of the deck and the 4 double facers throughout the deck, right? And you can say, look, before we do anything, I'm gonna take 4 cards out. I'm gonna take the aces out. I don't want to have them picked because that's going to be my big finale. So you spread through and you take out the 4 aces. Now you're actually taking out the 3 double facers and you're taking out the real Ace of Spades. So you could then, if you wanted to, do a little quick frustration count and just put those to one side. You say, look, I'll put those aces there. Now you can do the other 2 routines, just making sure that those 2 double backers, making sure that those 2, making sure that the 3 regular cards stay on top. Actually, you wouldn't need to. Ignore me. I'm stupid. Because you wouldn't want to have to worry about keeping those aces in position. The way you do it is you take out the 4 aces, put them on the table, turn the deck over, get a break underneath the top 3 cards, which are the 3 aces, the 3 real aces, and just pick these up and just put them on top and square up and say, look, I'm going to put the aces to one side. We'll get back to those a little bit later on. So now you've got this packet of cards that you've put to one side, and you've actually got the aces, which is theatrically it's better to do it this way because it means that you're going to come full circle. You're taking the aces out at the beginning to create intrigue for the final effect. But you've put those to one side. You've got all of the gaffs and everything that you need to do your McDonald's Aces there. You've still got everything set up for Magic Button. At the end of Magic Button, you can literally just say, look, can you do me a favor? Can you give those cards a shuffle? I've stolen the 2 cards from the top of the deck. You give them the deck, they shuffle, you do whatever sandwich routine you want to do, and you say, now, do you remember at the very beginning I gave you I said I was going to use the aces? You then put these on top of the deck for a minute, and you say, so we've got the 4 aces, and you've loaded those aces back on top of the deck, ready for your McDonald's Aces. So there's a few different options of doing that there. Hopefully I didn't rabbit on too long and it makes sense, but that is how I would do it. Okay, so the next question is from Mick Anderson, who says, hi again, Craig. Hey, Mick. What would you say are the 5 strongest reputation-making magic tricks for walk-around, not including any card tricks? And, do you do any ticket gags ever? Ticket gags? I don't think I do ticket gags. I don't know what ticket gags are. Can you, I don't know what you mean by ticket gags. I'm really sorry. Can you clarify in this week's Q&A? Because I'm not too sure that I might do. I don't know. Maybe I call it something else. But in terms of 5 strongest reputation-making magic tricks, walk around. So walk around, no card tricks, purely walk around. I'd say a really strong coin set would have to be in there. Really strong coin routine. I'm not going to say what. I could very easily just give you 5 coin tricks, but that's like a cop-out, honestly. So I'd say, you know, me personally, I would say something like the copper silver from Nightshade, or possibly my monster coin routine, or a 3 fly, or something like that. Even level up would be a good option here. Anything, some sort of really strong coin routine would be number 1. Number 2 would be Toxic Plus by Ian Pigeon, or some sort of variation of that, specifically the Remainder Force to force the date and time. That's a really strong bit that really gets people kind of freaked out, because everybody's following along with you. So I'd say that. 3, I'd say a really strong rubber band set. People really overlook rubber band magic. And rubber band magic can be so strong, especially in a walk around position. You know, I'd start with, you know, like a rubber band vanishing and appearing in their hand. Then, you know, like a few linking routines. There's so much you can do with rubber bands, but when you're in a walk around situation and there's no table, that's always so ridiculously strong. So we've got a rubber. I would say a really strong cube routine. Now, I have a walk around cube routine I do that is very streamlined. It is literally just, I take out a cube, I do a timing force, I show that it matches my tattoo, and I shake it and I solve it. I keep it very simple, very basic, and it just kills, because it's 2 really strong moments and that's it. Ryland does the same sort of thing, but as he hasn't got a tattoo, he brings out a mini Rubik's Cube and gives it to them, and they take that mini Rubik's Cube and they hold on to it, and he does the cube matchup and then solves the cube. So I'd say a really quick, strong cube routine would be good. If you'd asked me this a couple of years ago, I would have said like a bill switch routine, like something with a $100 bill switch. The problem is these days, not a lot of people carry cash around with them. People still do, but it's less and less likely to find something. So maybe I'm not going to put that in there. I know a lot of people that would be answering this question will be putting stuff like double cross in there, but I don't really do double cross because it's so overexposed. So that's something that I don't really do. I'd say, I know it's my own product and I apologize, but Keymaster stroke Gatekeeper is something that I do all of the time in a walk around situation. It's like one of my favorite walk around tricks. But if not Gatekeeper, then, or Keymaster, you know, Scotch and Soda by Hansen Chen is a really fantastic, is really, really strong when it comes to key magic. So that would be up there as well. Extreme burn, some sort of extreme burn. It doesn't necessarily have to be bills to money. I've got a pseudo pickpocketing style routine which works really well. There's the way that Steve Rowe does it, where it's like fake bills that have obviously been drawn by kids that turn into real money. That would be up there as well, I think. Anything like that. I mean, you could even argue that sponge balls should be in there. One thing that I think is in there, and I carry this around with me all the time, and I love this, is Grandma's Necklace, the TCC version. The TCC Grandma's Necklace is brilliant, and the magic happens in the hands of the spectators. It's instantly reset. It's examinable. I love Grandma's Necklace, so that would have to be in there as well. So all of that is non-card material, and all of that would work really well. I'm going to throw a ring and string routine in there as well. A ring and string routine with a really nice finale, whether it be to a keychain or something, or a nest of wallets. Any of that would work really well. So I've probably given you 7 or 8, and I'll probably do a video on this at some point in the future, but hopefully that answers your question. Okay, another question from Mick Anderson, who says, "Hi Craig, purchased the Mirage coins cube, the Mirage deck project, thank you. I'm struggling to spread through the cards and show them without showing the force cards a few times. Am I doing anything wrong? If there's a certain way to spread through them, thanks." So you want to, when you're spreading through any rough deck, you want to kind of put pressure on those cards. So you don't want to have a light touch, because if you have a light touch, that's how you separate the cards. Ironically, your problem is the exact opposite to what most people's problems are with a rough deck. Normally, most people have the problem of, I can't separate the cards. They're too fused together, or I'm struggling to separate the cards. You're saying the other thing, that you're struggling to show them without exposing them. So you want to put pressure on. Now, sometimes different people, a lot of people think that with a rough deck, the same amount of roughing fluid works for everybody. But that's not the case. Different people handle it in different ways. So what I would do is get a roughing stick. I can recommend the new Penguin roughing sticks. They are really good. Get yourself a roughing stick, or get yourself some roughing spray. And what I would do is I would add some extra roughing to it. Not too much. If you're using a spray, just go psh. Excuse me, just give it a light dusting, okay? Because what that's going to do is that's going to make that bond a little bit stronger. It sounds to me that you need a bit more roughing fluid on your card. So I would just go psh, just get a little bit more roughing fluid on your card. Tester's dull coat is the way to go. That will work a charm. That is what I would do if I were you. And don't forget that when you're spreading through the cards, push down nice and hard, because that way you're going to have those cards stay together. So hopefully that helps, but if there's an issue, let me know and we'll see if we can maybe put a video together for you. Okay, so Chris Delilio says, hi Craig, have you heard or seen about Luke Jermay's magic show? Looks very interesting. I saw an advert for it. I would like to go. I mean, Luke, I was chatting to him at the Wessex Magic Convention, and he's kind of all in on magic right now. He even said to me that he doesn't think at the moment he's going to be doing much mentalism, and he's going to be focusing on magic. And having seen him lecture a couple of times at the Session Magic Convention very recently, at Wessex very recently, the magic that he's doing is phenomenally strong. Like, he's doing coin magic and pure magic, no mentalism at all, but he's doing it better than pretty much anybody I've ever seen. So if the show is even remotely like what I was seeing from a performance point of view at the Session or at Wessex, then it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Luke is just a genius when it comes to so many different things, and now he's kind of put his thinking cap on when it comes to magic instead of mentalism. I can just see things blowing up for him even more than it did before. Very few people can make that transition. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm definitely going to get a ticket. It's definitely looking interesting, and fair play to Luke. Okay, so Keith Runian says, idiots always make the most noise. The more awesome you are and the bigger impact you make for good, the more these idiots will come after you. You're doing awesome things and you're appreciated. Stay awesome. Thank you so much. Honestly, the last question on the Q&A last week was me being a bit mopey. And it can get to me sometimes, but it's the outpouring of support that I get constantly on this channel really makes it worthwhile. So honestly, Keith, everybody else, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next question is from 1581 Davis. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Hello, Craig. Always remember you have a lot more supporters than detractors. We care for you. Thank you, man. Craig, I've come across an oil and water of Eldo Colombini's Italian dressing. What do you think of it? And question 2, the Mine and Yours by Gary Jones is not the way Gary does it. No, I changed it around a bit. Will you be teaching your handling on the Netrix? Love your version. Just needed a bit more info, please. Take care. My mentor for me and many others, I'm sure. Thank you so much. So first of all, it is slightly different. I would love to teach it on the Netrix. I'll probably have to check with Gary first of all, because it is obviously based on his routine. But if he's happy with it, I would more than 100% teach it on the Netrix. Yours and Mine is just brilliant. It's such a great trick. I love performing it. And the second question, you've come across Oil and Water by Aldo Colombini's Italian dressing. What do you think of it? I don't think I've seen Italian dressing, but I have got all of Aldo's material. But he published so much stuff, it's very easy to miss things. I'll look it up and I'll see if I can do a video on it, or I'll do a magic live on it and put my point of view across as to what I think. I love Oil and Water. My favorite is still my Extreme Oil and Water from the Netrix. That's kind of my go-to, which I love doing with Cube 52 these days. Actually, I do the Oil and Water Extreme with Cube 52 cards, and it just gets an insane reaction. But I've not seen Aldo's. I will look it up. And with regards to Gary, if Gary's watching this, let me know. If not, I'll reach out to him. Okay, so the next question is from David W465. Right, okay, hey David. Setlist surgery. Hey Craig. Below are my set lists, and I could really do with some honest advice, as I feel my sets are lacking variety and do with an objective view. This is all for walk around, stroke table hopping. Okay. Right, so you got, how many sets have we got here? Holy crap. 6 sets. I also have a series of other effects that I can go to for Fastidio. I also use a couple of apps for lead generation, other billet routines for mind reading, a big reaction. I tend to jazz around these. I'm currently working on a coins across, but not confident enough to gig with it just yet. Wowzers. Okay, right. Let's see what we can do here then. Right. So, set number 1. Stand-up Monty into the 11p trick, pot of jam producing Minikube, and then a Rubik's routine. So, I mean, that's a cool set. There's nothing wrong there. I always talk about when when you're thinking about sets, I always think about what's the I always think about how do you transition. I've talked about this in depth. How do you transition from one set to the other? I'd be interested to know how you transition from stand-up Monty into the 11p trick. I imagine it's probably something to do with gambling, because the presentation that most people use for the 11p trick is a gambling demonstration. It's kind of like, look, I've got a 10p and a 1p. If I take away a 1p, what's left? 10p. No, and a 1p as well. So I imagine what would make sense to me from a transition point of view is you do stand-up Monty, and then after stand-up Monty, you go, well, you know what? Maybe all of these cards are confusing you. Let's just use a couple of coins. And so you then produce a couple of coins and you do the same sort of thing, producing the Minikube. I love the idea of producing the Minikube and then going into a Rubik's routine. But again, what's your transition? I mean, it's great producing the Minikube, but how are you then going to transition into it? Because at that point, if you're doing the presentation for the 11p trick that I think that you will be doing, you're really just focusing on kind of the gambling persona or the cheeky con man persona. So how are you going to present the Rubik's routine? What's going to be your presentation there? But on the surface, a very strong set. I would say that sometimes Rubik's routines don't end particularly strongly. I see a lot of people, it's like, I'm going to solve the cube. I'm going to solve it again. I'm going to solve it again. I'm going to solve it again. End of trick. I think you need to have a strong end to any set. So I'm not going to say you haven't. I don't know what your Rubik's routine is, but make sure you've got a strong set. That's really important. And I don't know about... I'm not too sure about the stand-up Monty. Maybe do something quick before stand-up Monty, just a few seconds, just because I like to, and it's only personal, but I don't like to start with a card trick, so that might be something. So set 2, using a shadow wallet, the 6559 prediction, card index, horoscope divination, and the 6559 prediction matches toxic force peak and other personal info. Yeah, I mean, again, solid. Absolutely solid. There's nothing wrong there. I'm guessing when you say card index, you're talking about the card index that's built into the shadow wallet, which is great. But I mean, you've got a mentalism set there that doesn't use playing cards, and there's nothing wrong with playing cards in Magic at all. But I think about how you could actually maybe use that index to potentially keep the whole thing non-card material. Like, just because the 1914 say that the shadow wallet index is used for playing cards, you can get blank thin cards. Think about another way of doing it. How you've got the index there. Could you do some sort of psych force with a drawing dupe or a predicted drawing or something like that? That might be a way to go with it. But again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That works really well. Okay, so what we got going on here? So set 3, the Aciditas Novus peak word. Okay, so you're using a peak of a word. Okay, then the point blank routine, and then the quantum deck reveal, and then the Acidius reveal. So you're starting off by having them write down a word and you're peaking the word. Then you're going into point blank, which is a great routine. Then I imagine you're switching deck to go into the quantum deck. And then you're finishing off with the Acidius reveal. That's good. I mean, it's a real leap from you know, kind of doing point blank and quantum deck, which is very heavily magic, to going into the reveal of a thought of word. But I mean, you probably have a way of making it work. What I would say is it's kind of in walk around, you want to grab people's attention immediately. And what you have here is you have a peak of the word that you're not revealing until later on. So the opening might be, you know, there's not much happening at the very beginning, is there? It's kind of like, right, okay, you know, I've got write down this word. Fantastic. We'll get back to that later on. Now I've got this blank deck of cards. It might be like a minute and a half, minute or so before you get into the point blank routine. There's the first minute is realistically procedure, because you're not even revealing that word until at the end of the card set. So I get where you're going with this. I do love the idea of going full circle. So you start off by having somebody think of a word, and then you're going into the reveal at the end. But maybe there's something you can do in the middle. Or maybe there's something you can do while they're writing down the word or something. So you say, hey, my name's Craig, I'm a magician, I want to show you something. You right there, sir, can you do me a favor? Can you take this business card? I want you to write down a word for me. Now, while he's doing that, let me show you something with this pen. Look, I'm going to take this pen, I'm going to squeeze, and it's going to turn into a cucumber or something like that. So don't do the pen to cucumber, but what I mean is do something to grab their attention at that point. You know, do something that's going to give them an opening, or maybe even just open with a sudden deck, because you're going to be using the blank deck, aren't you, for point blank? So you just say, hey, my name's Craig, and I'm going to be showing you some magic here today with a deck of cards. Now, this is what a card box looks like before it's printed, right? It's just a blank piece of card. Of course, if you want to print it, you do this. Now it's printed. And obviously, if you want the cards in there, boom, I snap my fingers again. Now it's full of cards. Unfortunately, the cards are blank, because even though I printed the box, I didn't print up cards. But we can do something with this blank deck. Can you do me a favor and give those cards a shuffle for me? Brilliant. Now, while you're shuffling the cards, can you write down a word for me? Tell me when you're done. So shuffle the cards. Make sure they're in no particular order. Make sure they really are blank on both sides. Now, these cards are really blank. Very difficult to get a deck of cards like that. You've got to know somebody who works for the playing card industry. You sneak them out on the midnight shift. Thank you for that, Daryl. Right, have you wrote that word down? We'll get back to that a little bit later on. Perfect, brilliant. We'll put it over there. Whatever. Great. So you're going to pick a card. Now you're into point blank. But what you've done is you've had that moment right there at the beginning that's grabbed their attention. You've done something really fun. You've done something really visual. Now you're giving them the cards to shuffle while you're doing the name reveal, or you're doing the procedure you need to do to get to the name reveal at the end. That's probably the way that I would do with that, just to make it a bit more interesting at the beginning. Then you've got set 4, all backs, aces, mine. Well, that's an amazing opener. I use that as an opener all the time when I'm doing a card set. Aces, twisting, so it's going into a twisting the aces because you got the aces, cool. Crazy card using the aces, Gary Jones, fantastic trick. Dr. Daly's Mystery, Chris Congreve, brilliant. And a mini mental normal deck, cards vanish. I mean, that's an incredible set. That's a competition act set right there. That's brilliant. You got a great opener, you got some awesome stuff in the middle, and you got a vanishing deck at the end. I mean, what's not to love? Boom. Yeah. Nothing negative to say there at all. I mean, as long as the people like card magic, I think that's great. Nothing to say there. And the nice thing about the all backs is you're into it straight away, you know, because it opens straight away with a gag. I've got a deck of cards. This is not a card trick, but can you pick a card for me? What's the matter? Oh, they're back. Oh, this happens sometimes. And you're straight into it. People aren't going to think it's a normal card trick, because immediately they're just looking at it and they're like, hang on, these cards have got backs on both sides, right? So what else we got? Set 5, 2-card transpo, Hidden Ambition by Ben Earl, the Ed Marlowe Thinker card, and then the ITH Triumph in the Hands Triumph. Good. I don't think that Triumph is a closing routine, if I'm being completely honest with you, man. I think that the other stuff is great. I would personally open up with the Thinker card stuff, because Thinker card is so strong. Just, hey, do me a favor, think of a card. Right, if you got one, fantastic. Don't tell me the card, concentrate on the card, boom. Think of a card is a great way to get into it. And you can set it up as, I'm not going to do a card trick, because normally with a card trick, you have someone pick a card. I'm going to think of a card. And then the transition from that is just obvious. Say, now, what you just saw there was me kind of delving into your mind and extracting information. But this time I want to show you something that's a little bit more visual. It uses sleight of hand. Can you do me a favor? Can you hold your hand out? Brilliant. And then you're into You're into the 2-card transfer. So I two things there. I would start with the thinker card stuff, and I'd look for a stronger ending than Triumph. I would really look for something. I don't think Triumph is a strong enough ending, and I think there's better stuff that you can do. Unless you add another thing on the end. So you do a Triumph, and then maybe the card vanishes and appears up somewhere, like an impossible location. I would consider adding something on the end of that. And then finally we got Mystery Solved. Deck flash production, 1 card short of a full deck, ambitious card to pocket, wallet, Omni deck, finish with Mystery Solved. Okay, great. Yeah, very, very good. So I guess when you say Mystery Solved at the beginning, you're bringing the Mystery Solved out. Then you're doing a flash deck production. 1 card short of a full deck, ambitious card to pocket. Again, you're talking about Gary Jones's pocket to pocket sequence there, which is phenomenal. Finish with Mystery Solved. Yeah, I mean, that's a great card set. You know, you've got the impossible location at the end. That card set is way stronger, in my opinion, than set 5. Way stronger, way stronger. It's got a better opener, because you've got like, hey, I got this box. We're going to put this to one side. You keep an eye on the box for me. Can you do that? Wonderful. And then boom, flash deck production. Great. Better opener, better closer. Brings everything full circle at the end. Set 6. In my opinion, when it comes to card material, way better than set 5. Overall, very good. Really, really good. Maybe consider doing maybe slightly less card material. All of 4, 5, and 6 are cards. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 aren't. But you could say that 3 is, because the majority of it is playing cards, even though they are blank cards. It's good. It's good. Try to throw some sleight of hand stuff in there. Or learn some sleight of hand stuff like coins and things. Try to make it a little bit more eclectic when it comes to the material that you've got there. But overall, it's really good. I'd love to see you perform some of this stuff, man. I really would. So, yeah, thanks for asking me, David. Hope that helps. Okay, so the next question is from Tora Venjal, who says, I often hear or read statements such as, that's just a matter of audience management, but I can't seem to find anything that deals with the topic in greater depth. Are there any resources on that subject matter you can recommend? Yes, I've got a video that I'm filming at the moment, and it's hopefully going to be going up in the next week or so, and it is literally an in-depth video, one of those in-depth videos I do, but all on audience management. And I'm actually going to try and include, the reason we've been holding off on it, we're going to be including live performance footage from gigs as well. So, yeah. Absolutely. I don't know of many subjects that really... Sorry. I don't know of many places that discuss it in any great detail. All of the magic books say, hey, audience management, but they don't go into any depth with it. But I am going to be doing a video on this subject very soon, so watch out for it. Okay, so the next question is from Logan Sereni, who says, I've been successful with the Oxbender. Not going to lie, I do sweat bullets when using it. That being said, no one suspected what it could be. Even fooled my fiance and my friend, who both know how all my magic works. I live in the US. There's still plenty of change. If no one's carrying any, I have my own. Yeah, look, I'm not saying that you can't do tricks with borrowed coins. I'm just saying, at least over here in the UK, it's getting less and less common. Like, I never have coins on me. It's weird. But yeah, Oxbender's good. Oxbender's good. I've played around with it. I've never done it in a gig. Because, as I said, my go-to has always been, for years, Coinvexed. But Oxbender, I know a lot of people that swear by it. So, yeah, thanks for the comment, and welcome to the channel. Okay, so the next question is the magic of Seth. He says, so sorry you're having to deal with some difficult stuff. Don't worry about it, buddy. Cube magic has never really been something that's appealed to me. Oh, you heathen. But I picked up Cube 3 to test the waters, and I've been converted. Good. Are there any must-have gimmicks in the world of cube magic? Well, look, first of all, go subscribe to the Refractor Project. So the Refractor Project by Kev G and Colin Klaus. It's like an online thing, and you can have a one-off subscription and get access to all of their courses. There's a ton of stuff on there with a regular cube. So you don't need to buy gimmicks or anything like that. So if you haven't gone onto a Refractor Project. Second of all, I am very biased, but I think the Cube 52 is something that a lot of people should pick up. It's a deck of cards designed to work alongside a regular Rubik's Cube, and there's a ton of material in there, and it's converted a lot of people to cube magic. But there's a lot of people that use it that are cardicians, and they use it because it opens up a lot more ideas. So I think Cube 52 is a must-have, personally. If you are a close-up magician, I'd say Rubik's Dream by Henry Harrius, or Rubik's Dream 2.0 is great, because you get a plethora of gimmicks and a bunch of routines teaching you how to use them. So there's a mini cube, there's a mini shell, there's a normal cube, there's a normal shell, there's a bunch of stuff, and he teaches you how to use that. And when I first started cube magic, I did Rubik's Dream every single table. It's great. Now, on top of that, I would, it depends on if you're a stage performer or not. If you're a stage performer, or if you perform in a parlor situation, this necessarily isn't the best thing for close-up, but Venom Cube is amazing. Ryland swears by that, does it in every stage show. Venom Cube is brilliant, and Cube Wall by Bondley is very, very good. Anything by Henry Harrius is great. Go check out his cube range. They're wonderful. The RD Cube is used by a lot of people. The RD Insta is a great instant solver Rubik's Cube. The Rubik's 360 is a great way to actually solve a cube. Different approach to using a shell. So a lot of Henry's gimmicks are great. I'll be honest, if I'm doing walk around, I don't use any gimmicks. Ryland uses a lot of gimmicks on stage, but doesn't use any gimmicks in walk around. The new Cubify by Kev G and Paul Fowler is very good as well. That's kind of like a cube with words on, and you can combine it with mentalism and have reveals of like music artists and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different cube related projects out there. But if you're wanting to do it mainly for walk around, you honestly don't really need many gimmicks. Realistically, the best thing to have is a knowledge of how to use that cube. Get yourself a good Rubik's Cube, and that's all you kind of need. Get onto the Refractor project is probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you. Betty Kruger says, love you, Craig. You're awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Honestly, I really do. Okay, so the next question is MCBCX9TS2. Hi. Hi, Craig. Have you experienced much of a problem of having your projects illegally uploaded to the internet over the years? Is it difficult to get these videos removed from websites like YouTube or Facebook? And do magic companies pay websites like YouTube to make having these videos removed easier? It's almost impossible. The second that a trick is released, it will get pirated and it will get put up online. It happens all of the time. It's happened with every video from every person. It's why there's less and less people bringing downloads out these days, because downloads are just so piratable, and they will just get immediately put up onto various different websites and discounted down massively cheaply. A lot of production companies these days are wanting to include physical products, because if you include the physical products, it makes it much more difficult for the pirates to do anything. So, for example, let's look at the Infinity deck, for example. Why would will that be pirated? Probably. Will they have the deck? No, they'll just give you the tutorial. But me and Lloyd have already told everyone how the trick works. So you really need the deck. And the deck's printed by USPCC, and it's really good quality. So I think physical items are the way to go. I really do. Is it difficult to get these videos removed by Facebook and by YouTube and so on and so forth? Yes, it is. It's not impossible, but it's a rigmarole. There's so many people that are trying to take things down and get these companies' attention. It can take a long time. Justin Miller nailed it. He had this thing called MAP, Magicians Against Piracy, where he would just literally, he'd figured out how to get YouTube and places like that to take these videos down. And he would do that for a fee for people. But the problem is he was spending all of his time doing that and no time doing what he really enjoys doing, which is creating and performing. So he stopped doing it after a few years. But he's probably the closest person that's ever come to being successful with that. But yeah, that's it's an issue. But, I try not to dwell on it. I release my magic, and if people like it, that's great. If they buy it, that's awesome. Okay, so the next question is from Archie Cox, who says, what's the best place to learn Propless Mentalism? For example, the thing Ryland does with imaginary dice. Well, the thing Ryland does with imaginary dice is actually a Joel Dickinson creation. And I think he released it on a booklet a few years ago, but he taught it on the Netrix. You get access to that if you go into the silver level of the Netrix. He did it on a masterclass. So every month we have a masterclass with a different magician, and Joel Dickinson taught as part of his masterclass that particular routine, which is brilliant. It really is, because you don't need anything with you and it works 100% of the time. So if you are a member of the Netrix and you're on a silver level, go to the masterclasses. They're all in the archives. Go look up Joel Dickinson and go watch that. That's on there. That's where Rylan learnt it from. In terms of other Propless Mentalism, Pete Turner is the GOAT when it comes to Propless Mentalism. A lot of his books, if you study them, you're going to learn how to do Propless Mentalism. Michael Murray is somebody else that's also spent a lot of time thinking about Propless Mentalism. And Fraser Parker is somebody who spent a lot of time thinking about Propless Mentalism as well. If you go on Penguin or you go on Google and you search those three names and put Propless Mentalism next to it, you'll find a ton of material that will be a really good starting point if you want to kind of go into that subject matter. Okay, so the next question is from MCK Magic, who says, "Hi Craig, hope you're doing well. I am indeed, thank you very much. What case do you use when performing kid shows? Most close-up cases are too small to fit the majority of my kids' props, and I don't like the current set of carrying 2 cases and a table. What do you recommend?" Well, have a look at my videos when I'm doing kid shows, and you'll see. Basically, I use a silver case, and all of my stuff goes into that silver case. And I take a stand with me, the kind of stand that they use in restaurants where they put a tray down. So I have a stand, so I carry in the stand, I carry in the case, open up the stand, put the case on the stand, open it up, and I'm good to go. And all of my stuff fits inside that case. That, honestly, is the best way to go. Because if you do that, you've got everything that you need inside the case. You can just open it up, make sure you've got things where you can grab them really easily, and you're ready to go. So I would say, well, that's what I'd recommend. That's what I do. There's a million. Check out the Wood Wizard. Wood Wizard has got some amazing props, some amazing products that you can use. And there's other companies that will do the same thing. But for me, it's the case on top of the stand. That's all I need. Okay, so the next question is from Mike on a Box, who says, "Nice to hear that the creative process will be eventually back. Love that series. Really interesting, not only the video itself, but the feedback and ideas in the comment section." I agree, and it will definitely come back. Not next week, but the week after. Question, talking about Matt and his progress on learning the Mem Deck. There is one topic that wasn't mentioned on the Matchumentary series. Did Matt learn moves like false cuts, false shuffles, double lifts, and more along those lines? You'd think this is essential for a magician to learn, but this topic wasn't part of the Muggle to Magician at all, being that he uses Stebbins a lot, false shuffles, and let me read more. First shuffles and false cuts come in really handy. We kind of did talk about that in season 1, because if you go back to season 1, the first thing I taught him that he went out and performed was Jay Sankey's Back in Time, which required the use of a card control. It used a false cut, a double lift, and a slip slop shuffle. All of that was used for Back in Time. So you saw him practicing Back in Time. At the beginning of the Matchumentary, we didn't want to expose everything that he was learning, but it was kind of implied that right early on at the very beginning, he was learning how to do that stuff. Matt is very comfortable doing false cuts and not necessarily false shuffles. He can do a Charlier shuffle, but I honestly don't think that a false shuffle is actually needed, even when you're using Stebbins. I do. I use a grey shuffle. I use a truffle shuffle. But honestly, if I didn't, I wouldn't really care, because I think if you just give the cards a few cuts and give them a Charlier shuffle and just do, like a chop overhand shuffle where it looks like you're just shuffling, but you're just cutting from an overhand shuffle position, I think that kind of covers the same sort of thing, to be honest, Mike. But yeah, he did learn all of that very, very early on at the beginning of season 1 when he learned Jay Sankey's Back in Time. And although he doesn't do much magic like that, if you asked him, if you saw him at a convention to do a double lift, he's actually got a decent double lift. Okay, so the next question is from the Golden Knights fan 84, who says, "Hi Craig, I'm sorry to bother you with this question again, but I think it got missed when I asked a few months ago. I'm learning the tricks off John Bannon's Move Zero DVD set, and they are easy to learn but incredibly effective. But my issue is this. I don't know how to explain this without exposing the method, but here goes. I'm trying to learn a 4-sided Gemini, and at the beginning of the trick, I have a card selected, but every time I try either flash or I'm terrified of flashing, Not like that, I get your mind out of the gutter. But then later on, I have to split the deck again, and I'm terrified of flashing. What can I do, Craig? It's not a difficult effect, but it feels like I'm flashing at 2 points in the routine, and I don't know if it's in my head or not. Any help appreciated. Here's to the next 20k subs. Yeah, 100%. Okay, thanks very much for the question. I'll be honest, I've got Move Zero. I don't know if I've ever watched it all the way through. I might have, I might not. It was a long time ago. I've got the DVD somewhere. Let me go and check that out, right? Let me go and find the DVD out. Give me a couple of weeks, and I can't even remember what the trick is that you're talking about. So I don't know if there's something specific we could do with regards to that moment in the routine. But I will get to you on that. In terms of flashing in general, look, here's the thing. Not every trick is for everybody. And I say that to people all the time. If you're learning a trick and you flash, or you're worried about doing that particular trick, just do a different trick. Just don't bother learning it. There's a million tricks out there. Not every trick is for every person. Like I said earlier in this Q&A, I don't do double cross for a few different reasons. And I know a lot of people swear by it. Just don't do the trick. If you are going to do the trick, think about how you can do that part without it worrying you. So you're worried about flashing. Analyze the trick and try and figure out why you're flashing. What is it in your hand positioning? What is it in the routine structure that causes you to flash at that particular point, or worry about flashing at that particular point? And then think about what you can do with that routine and how you can change it. That might be from a presentational point of view. It might be from a technical point of view. It might be from a choreography point of view. It might be from a routining point of view. But think about how you can change it so that flashing doesn't even come into your head. That is what I would do. Like when I first learned Superfly by Scott Alexander, there was lots of moments that I didn't like. He's got a setup with envelopes that I wasn't happy about. There's a moment where he's going in the audience and he's getting people to pick cards. I didn't like that. I thought I slowed it down. So I just changed it. That's why the Mirage project became a thing, because I got a Mirage deck, and like everything I read about it, it was just like force a card. I was like, hang on a minute, there's more you can do with this. And those routines developed over time. So that's what I'd say. I'd say just kind of look at the routine and think about how you can adapt it to make it so that you're not worried about it. And if you can't, cool, do a different trick. So the next question is from Agent Suter. It says, hi Craig, you mentioned the executive pad. I watched the trainer and it looks like something that's perfect for EDC. Can you tell us more about the setup, reset time, and is it standard paper size or do I need special refills? I talked about this in the review show special from last Sunday because I reviewed the executive pad. The reset is almost probably about maybe 10 seconds if you're going to do the same trick again. So if you're going to do the same trick again, it's about 10 seconds. If you want to do a different trick, it's going to take a little bit longer. Now, because you have to take one particular piece of paper out and put one piece of paper in. Now, in terms of do you need special refills, I don't use special refills. With an A4 piece of paper, you can cut it to just the right size very, very easily, and you can have that, and that's what you need to create what you need without trying to give too much away. So let's say there's 5 tricks you like. From my tutorial, for example, there's 5 tricks you like. If you were going to do the same trick over and over again, it'd be about a 10-second reset. You just have to do this, done. 10 seconds. If you're wanting to do a completely different trick, it'd probably take more about a minute. You'd have to go to where your bag is, you'd have to take another one of the gimmicks out, remove the first gimmick, put the second gimmick back in, and then boom. Once that second gimmick is set up and in place, it'll take you about 10 seconds to reset between tables. So, hopefully that helps, but if you want more, go check out the go check out the review show special that I did last Sunday, because I actually talked about this in quite detailed. I went through everything. Okay, so the next question is from Vinard Fotoduro, who says, where can I learn the memorized deck? Is there an easy way? Is there a tutorial? There's not a tutorial on the Netrix. I'm thinking about doing one because a lot of people are asking. But I did bring a project out through the 1914 called Forecast, which was my approach to learning the memorized deck. I put, I think, 10 routines on there, and they were divided into 3 sections. 3 of the routines are designed to be done with a Mem Deck, but you don't need to know the Mem Deck order. 3 of the routines are designed to be done with a Mem Deck. You do need to know the order, but you have a crib in play that you can look at, which is included in the project. And the crib is designed so that you can look at it at any point. And 3 or 4 of the routines are more advanced, and for that you need instant recall. Because my approach to the memorized deck, and the reason that people don't do it, is because they're worried about it. So even when they've got it, they're worried about recalling, so they won't bother doing it. And my attitude was, if you learn some routines that use the Mem Deck but doesn't actually use the actual recall side of the Mem Deck, it makes you more comfortable. Because if you are going into a Mem Deck trick and you can't remember what to do, or you can't remember the particular card at the particular number, it's not a problem, because you can go into one of the other routines. So if you want to look at Forecast from the 1914, that was a very in-depth kind of project on the Mem Deck. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so the next question is from Ian Walton, who says, well done for listening to the wife. My wife talks rubbish, but your wife has her head screwed on. No comments. The people who have a vendetta against you appear to be from a clique, and they believe they are better than everyone else. You've proved them wrong, and they're jealous of your success, which you've earned through hard graft and through your creative mind. Thank you so much, Ian. I really appreciate that. Anyway, I love all 3 of your Alakazam coin sets. I have 4 because Harry Nard is a good salesperson. He must be. Anyway, I've also picked up a brown Person Alakazam, and I feel this is much prettier than the black. That's just the Fenneman side coming through. No, I can see that. This was to replace my black one for the Mirage set, which was ruthlessly stolen. It would be lovely to have a brown one for Apparition. Do you think I should badger Alakazam until they make one? Will your upcoming video involve swapping purses through the routines? Going back to the clique, they pretend to be concerned over the hobbyists like myself, but they couldn't give a damn about us. They, for a large part, see us as irrelevant. You inspire so many muggles through Magic TV. I look forward to your videos each day. Thank you so much, and you are not a muggle. Anybody who has 3 of my coin sets is most definitely not a muggle. I think that Alakazam could make a brown Apparition purse relatively easily. I know the process they have to go through. They'd have to make it as a one-off, but I think they could do that. I don't think it'd be a badgering thing. Just ring up Harry and say you want a brown Apparition purse. You wouldn't need the coins with it, just a purse. I think he could probably sort that out for you. In terms of the upcoming thing, it's going to be July. We've set the date. We'll be announcing it soon. It's going to be July. And yes, there is going to be an element of different things happening in different coin purses. So bear that in mind. There is going to be that going on. So it would be useful for you to have 2 matching coin purses. So stop watching this video, pick up the phone, ring up Alakazam, and tell Harry I told you to tell him to get a brown Apparition purse sorted for you. That should hook you up. And Ian, thank you so much for all of the support. It means a lot. Genuinely, it does. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, can you put your multiplying bottles on the Netrix? Yeah, absolutely. I'll put them on next week. We're putting more stage stuff on. Not next week. Next week, which is tomorrow, we've already set the... I'll put it up the next upload after this one. We're putting up more stage items anyway, and multiplying bottles is a great one to put up there. So yes, I will put it up on the Netrix, no problem. And the final question is from Barrier Fusion, who says, I have a question. Can you answer the best strategy stroke way to learn a trick from a book versus a video? I've talked about learning from books before. What you want to do is kind of, first of all, just flick through it and look for any routines that kind of look interesting to you. Don't try and read it like a normal book, because if you do, you're going to be weighed down with a bunch of routines that you don't think you're going to do. So have a flick through it and make notes of any tricks that you like the look of that you want to learn. That's step 1. Step 2 is kind of look more in depth at the effect and the explanation and the setup, and then whittle that list down to ones that you think you would like to learn. And from that point, go out and learn those first. And then after you've done that, go back and learn some of the others. Because if you just spend ages looking at tricks that you don't think you're going to do, you're just going to be bored and you're never going to make it way through to the end of the book. In terms of videos, the best way to learn from videos is just, again, watch the whole video all the way through. Pick 2 or 3 routines that you like and focus on those. Don't try and overwhelm yourself, especially with a big project like Evoke or the Infinity Deck. You could be there forever if you're going to try and learn every single routine. So just pick the routines that you like, that you can resonate with, the ones that you can look at and go, you know what, I could see myself doing that particular routine. And those are the ones that you want to learn. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. I really appreciate your support. Now, if you haven't already done so, please make sure that you check out the interview from yesterday. We had Liam Levenon go up, who's set in the Magic World by Fire. And I'm telling you right now, on Monday, on Bank Holiday Monday, we have a special 5x5 going up. It's a 5x5 tutorial special. I'm going to be covering some really cool self-working card tricks, so make sure you look out for that as well. Outside of that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you haven't already done so and you want to support me, go to the Netrix. That's www.thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform. Got access immediately. And if you are a Netrix Silver member or Gold member, make sure that you join me tonight, because we have the always awesome, absolutely incredible, one-of-a-kind, the man, the myth, the legend, John Morton is going to be this month's masterclass on the Netrix, and it is 9 o'clock tonight. Very exciting. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Have a great Sunday. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.